A reading from the second letter of Paul to the Corinthians. Brothers and sisters, we are always courageous, although we know that while we are at home in the body, we are away from the Lord. For we walk by faith, not by sight. Yet we are courageous, and we would rather leave the body and go home to the Lord. Therefore, we aspire to please Him, whether we are at home or away. For we must all appear before the judgment seat of Christ, so that each may receive recompense according to what he did in the body, whether good or evil. The word of the Lord.
Our second reading for this Sunday is taken from the second letter of Paul to the Corinthians. We have been reflecting on the simple manifestations of the great kingdom of God. In the first reading from Ezekiel, we see the promise of God of the restored kingdom of David coming through a tender shoot of a cedar tree. Yeah, how can you restore a kingdom from a tender shoot? But God promises it is the beginning of a great big tree. After all, it is God who will do it. I will do it. So yes, it is God's kingdom, but we should be open to the surprises. God uses simple, even insignificant ways to establish God's kingdom. In the second reading, we have such an example. In writing to the Corinthians in his second letter, St. Paul was really suffering. He was in pain. He was in sorrow. He had been the object of many accusations. He was accused especially of insincerity, of doubts. People doubted whether he was a true apostle, whether he merited this calling and mission to be an apostle. People even doubted his message, his gospel. But can you really blame the people? Maybe not. If you know the background of St. Paul, if you know how zealous he was as a Pharisee, to the point of conniving with the destruction of the church, you would really entertain doubts. It was just logical to question the sincerity, the motivation of this person. Can you really count him as an apostle? Is he distorting the message of Jesus Christ? It is in this context that we see the greatness, the mystery, the surprising ways by which God spreads His kingdom, the kingdom of Jesus Christ. He uses someone like St. Paul, someone who is so unexpected that he even brought not only opposition, but scandal. People could not believe. How could he be the bearer of the good news of Jesus Christ? Probably St. Paul also entertained the same doubts, for he knew himself. If there is one virtue in St. Paul, it is honesty to self. He does not hide his identity. If people were surprised at his calling, he is the one also. He is surprised. But then he says, he is confident. He trusts in God. He has faith in God who has chosen him. Probably he himself could not believe that God would choose such a sinful, weak, undeserving messenger of God's kingdom. So the only anchor that St. Paul relies is his faith. And he knows, Jesus knows him. Jesus knows what he is doing. And in the end, when he faces the tribunal at the end of his life, Jesus, who knows him, who has called him, will be the righteous, the just judge. Yeah, a simple apostle being the bearer of the greatest of news, that Jesus is risen and that the kingdom of God is in him.